Hello and welcome to another Every Tuesday tutorial. In this week's tutorial, we are creating some basic ribbon lettering in Procreate. So what you see on screen is exactly what we're going to be creating together. I'm going to give you all of the colors that we're using, as well as some free Procreate brushes too. So links to everything are right in the video description, and I will mention them as we move along. So right now I'm going to create a screen size document and then we'll get started. Okay, so here's the screen size document, and this is the color palette that we're using. And once again, just tap on the link in the video description and you can download this for free. So I'm going to grab our background color first and just drag it to the background and then create a new layer right above it. And this one's going to be my base lettering. So we're just going to label this one base. And then you can choose any color you'd like. So you can grab any color from your color circle, or I'm just going to grab the green one because we're only using that for our holly leaves. So I'm going to use this for my base lettering, so it's very different than the red ribbon that we're going to be using. So over here in your brushes, I have a custom brush pen, and that's what we're going to be using to set the base of our lettering. It's totally free. Tap the link in the video description. If you'd like even more free Procreate brushes, head on over to tuesdaytribe.com. I have a bunch of free Procreate brushes as well as color palettes if you're interested in adding to your brush collection. Okay, so I've got my brush pen right here. I'm going to up the size all the way to the max. So I'm going to write out the word joy, and with the brush pen, when you have light pressure, you can see it's very light transparency, and when I come down with heavy pressure, you can see it's basically opaque. So this transition from heavy to light pressure is really important for us to know where we're going to put the different shades of our ribbon. So just be very aware of that as you're lettering out whatever word that you're using. Is wherever you have light pressure, your light pressure should always be on your upstrokes, your heavy pressure should always be on your downstrokes. So technically I'm starting out with heavy pressure and then light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. So just make sure that you're being very aware of your pressure as you're writing this out. Otherwise, it'll be a lot more difficult to create your ribbon lettering later on. This is a little bit more advanced for hand letterers, but totally doable. If you want to copy my example, then you'll already know where to put your heavy and your light pressure. Okay, so I'm just going to write this out. Okay, so here is my word joy. I'm just going to center it a little bit, and then right above your base, you're just going to create a new layer, and this one's going to be called Downstrokes. Okay, so all of our downstrokes, which we talked about, are going to be light colored, and all of our upstrokes, the low transparency right here, are going to be our dark color. So I'm going to come over to our colors, and I'm going to choose this lighter color right here. So it's the third one on the end. And then we're going to grab this free mono weight brush. So once again, it's right in the video description. So download that, install it, and we're going to be using this one to outline our areas of downstrokes. So you want to make sure that you are definitely on the brand new layer. You don't want these two layers to merge or have any chance of that happening. So what we're going to do is, I have this at a pretty small size. This one's at 5%. And we're going to start off by just tracing our downstroke right here. And where the transition occurs, it's going to come to an angle right here. So it comes to a point where your transition happens. And if you want a smoother transition, just reduce the size of your brush and then make that angle right there. Okay, and now I'm going to come back up to 5% for the notch in our ribbon, just so it reads as a ribbon on the end. And then just make sure that you have a closed path here. There's no open spots, and then you can just drag your color right into it and it'll fill it right up. So if we zoom out and we turn off our base lettering layer, you can see we've got the start of our ribbon right here. So we're just going to come along in all the opaque areas, so the darkest green areas, those are your areas that you're going to be creating the lighter colored ribbon, because that's where the light's going to be hitting it because it's in the front versus the back where it's kind of twisting. So if you'd like, you can create these as separate ribbon pieces where the tops of these always have that kind of ribbon notched look. I'm going to keep mine as smooth and plain and just keep my notches for the beginning and the end of the word as if it's one continuous ribbon. But if you'd like to create these separate ribbon pieces, you can totally do that too for a different kind of look. So I'm just going to speed up the video and then I'll be back. Okay, now that I've got all my downstrokes complete, we can preview it by turning off our base lettering layer, and you can kind of see it's starting to come together. And now we're going to add in the upstrokes, so the lighter transparency. This is going to be the darker part of our ribbon. So I'm going to turn on the base layer, I'm going to tap on the base layer and create a new layer right above it. So it's below the downstroke layer, but above the base layer. And I'm going to call this one Upstrokes. Okay, and we're going to select the darker color right here out of these three, so it's the middle one, and then grab your mono weight brush once again, and then all these areas of low transparency, we're just going to color drop in that darker color. Okay, I've got all of my upstrokes in now, and if we turn off our base layer, we can see that we got some really pretty ribbon lettering. So you could call this done just as it is, but if you'd like to add a little bit more detail, I like adding in some extra shading on my upstrokes just to show where there's movement in the ribbon and it's that 3D look. So in order to do this, I come over here, I tap on my upstrokes thumbnail and I choose select. So just my upstrokes are selected. I'm going to create a new layer right above my upstrokes layer and call this Upstroke Shadow. Grab your black, so just double tap where the black is and that'll give you true black. Come over to your brushes and you're going to navigate to your airbrushing category right here that everybody has. I'm going to tap on the soft brush and my soft brush size is right about 12%. And I'm going to come over here and change my Upstroke Shadow to overlay. So scroll down and this is our overlay, and I'm just going to brush lightly wherever there's an overlap right here, and you can see that it's going to start getting a little bit dark, and that will give you that kind of 3D effect. If it's getting too dark, just double tap to undo. You can also reduce the transparency over here if you want to color in a little lighter as you go along. Okay, once you're all set, just tap on your selection icon up here and you can take a look at it. If it still feels a little too dark, which this one still feels a bit dark to me, just come to your layers and just tap on the O for your overlay blend mode and reduce the opacity here. So I'm going to bring this down to about 50%, I think is good. So you can still see that there's that shadow right there, but it's not so dark that it's distracting to the rest of the word. Okay, so this could be a little bit hard to tell that this is a J, so just to make it really obvious that this is the word joy, we're going to dot our J with some holly berries and some holly leaves. So I'm going to create a new layer right above my downstrokes layer and label this one berries. And this is going to be a really flat style design for the berries. So I'm going to grab my dark red right here at the very bottom. I'm going to select my mono weight brush right here and give myself 3 circles right above the J and then fill them in. If I hold the shape, it'll snap. I can hit edit shape and make it a perfect circle if I would like. Okay, and then right above your berries layer, create a new layer and call this holly leaves. Grab your green color and then just draw in those leaves. And there you go. So that's how to create simple ribbon lettering in Procreate. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of new tutorials just like this one in the future. For everything mentioned within this tutorial, the free color palette and all the brushes, tap on the link in the video description and you can have access to everything. You can also find all of my past Procreate free brushes and color palettes over on TuesdayTribe.com. For more Procreate tutorials and freebies, head on over to my site, every-tuesday.com. You can also find me on Instagram. My handle is everytuesday. If you try this out and post it there, I would love it if you tag me. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.